Language Foundations Vocabulary Flashcards, helping you achieve understanding.
The act of expelling air from the lungs. A coming to an end of a contract period. Euphemistic expressions for death. The act of expelling air from the lungs. The act of expelling air from the lungs. Exhaled breath. A coming to an end of a contract period. The expiry of his driver's license. The event of dying or departure from life. The end of a word, a suffix or inflectional ending or final morpheme. The act of ending something. The termination of the agreement. A coming to an end of a contract period. A place where something ends or is complete. Something that results. A variation that deviates from the standard or norm. The act of departing. Euphemistic expressions for death. Move out of or depart from. An opening that permits escape or release. Pass from physical life and lose all bodily attributes and functions necessary to sustain life. Euphemistic expressions for death. Lose the lead. The act of going out. The act of departing. Euphemistic expressions for death. Advancing toward a goal. Persuading him was easy-going. In full operation. A going concern. The amount by which the cost of a business exceeds its revenue. The company operated at a loss last year. Military personnel lost by death or capture. The disadvantage that results from losing something. His loss of credibility led to his resignation. Euphemistic expressions for death. Gradual decline in amount or activity. Weight loss. Something that is lost. The car was a total loss. The act of losing someone or something. Everyone expected him to win, so his loss was a shock. The experience of losing a loved one. He sympathized on the loss of their grandfather. Lasting a very short time. A passing fancy. Hasty and without attention to detail, not thorough. A passing glance. A bodily reaction of changing from one place or stage to another. The passing of flatus. Success in satisfying a test or requirement. His future depended on his passing that test. Going by something that is moving in order to get in front of it. She drove but her reckless passing of every car on the road frightened me. Of advancing the ball by throwing it. A team with a good passing attack. To an extraordinary degree. She was a surpassingly beautiful woman. Euphemistic expressions for death. Thousands mourned his passing. The motion of one object relative to another. Stellar passings can perturb the orbits of comets. American football. A play that involves one player throwing the ball to a teammate. The coach sent in a passing play on 3rd and long. Allowing you to pass, e.g., an examination or inspection, satisfactorily. A passing grade. The end of something. The passing of winter. Part with a possession or right. Let something fall or spill from a container. Music. The act or manner of terminating a musical phrase or tone. A device that when pressed will release part of a mechanism. Activity that frees or expresses creative energy or emotion. The act of liberating someone or something. Grant freedom to. Free from confinement. Make assets available. Release the holdings in the dictator's bank account. Release, as from one's grip. Release, gas or energy, as a result of a chemical reaction or physical decomposition. A legal document evidencing the discharge of a debt or obligation. The act of allowing a fluid to escape. Prepare an issue for public distribution or sale. Eliminate a substance. The plant releases a gas. The termination of someone's employment, leaving them free to depart. Make information available for publication. Release the list with the names of the prisoners. An announcement distributed to members of the press in order to supplement or replace an oral presentation. Euphemistic expressions for death. Generate and separate from cells or bodily fluids. Release a hormone into the bloodstream. A formal written statement of relinquishment. A process that liberates or discharges something. There was a sudden release of oxygen. Merchandise issued for sale or public showing, especially a record or film. A new release from the London Symphony Orchestra. A short respite. An indirect suggestion. Not a breath of scandal ever touched her. A slight movement of the air. There wasn't a breath of air in the room. The air that is inhaled and exhaled in respiration. His sour breath offended her. The process of taking in and expelling air during breathing. He took a deep breath and dived into the pool. Event whose occurrence ends something. His death marked the ending of an era. The end of a word, a suffix or inflectional ending or final morpheme. I don't like words that have ism as an ending. The act of ending something. The last section of a communication. The point in time at which something ends. The ending of warranty period. A piece of cloth that is left over after the rest has been used or sold. Bring to an end or halt. She ended their friendship when she found out that he had once been convicted of a crime. Be the end of. Be the last or concluding part of. This sad scene ended the movie. The state of affairs that a plan is intended to achieve and that, when achieved, terminates behavior intended to achieve it. The ends justify the means. The last section of a communication. The point in time at which something ends. The end of the year. Have an end, in a temporal, spatial, or quantitative sense, either spatial or metaphorical. My property ends by the bushes. The final stage or concluding parts of an event or occurrence. The end was exciting. A final state. He came to a bad end. Either extremity of something that has length. The end of the pier. A boundary marking the extremities of something. The end of town. A final part or section. We have given it at the end of the section since it involves the calculus. American football. A position on the line of scrimmage. No one wanted to play end. Football. The person who plays at one end of the line of scrimmage. The end managed to hold onto the pass. One of two places from which people are communicating to each other. The phone rang at the other end. Put an end to. The terrible news ended our hopes that he had survived. The part you were expected to play. He held up his end. The surface at either extremity of a three-dimensional object. One end of the box was marked, this side up. The time at which life ends, continuing until dead. She stayed until his death. The time when something ends. It was the death of all his plans. The event of dying or departure from life. Her death came as a terrible shock. A final state. The absence of life or state of being dead. He seemed more content in death than he had ever been in life. The act of killing. He had 2 deaths on his conscience. The permanent end of all life functions in an organism or part of an organism. The animal died a painful death. The personification of death. Pass from physical life and lose all bodily attributes and functions necessary to sustain life. The event of dying or departure from life. Upon your decease, the capital will pass to your grandchildren. Raise or haul up with or as if with mechanical help. Catch the scent of. Get wind of. A reflex that expels intestinal gas through the anus. Form into a wreath. Empty rhetoric or insincere or exaggerated talk. That's a lot of wind. Arrange or coil around. To move or cause to move in a sinuous, spiral, or circular course. The river winds through the hills. Extend in curves and turns. The road winds around the lake. The act of winding or twisting. He put the key in the old clock and gave it a good wind. A musical instrument in which the sound is produced by an enclosed column of air that is moved by bellows or the human breath. Air moving, sometimes with considerable force, from an area of high pressure to an area of low pressure. Trees bent under the fierce winds. Coil the spring of some mechanical device by turning a stem. Wind your watch. An indication of potential opportunity. A tendency or force that influences events. The winds of change. Breath. The collision knocked the wind out of him. Suck in or take air. Blow hard and loudly. He huffed and puffed as he made his way up the mountain. A short light gust of air. To swell or cause to enlarge. Her face puffed up from the drugs. A slow inhalation, as of tobacco smoke. He took a puff on his pipe. A soft spherical object made from fluffy fibers, for applying powder to the skin. Bedding made of 2 layers of cloth filled with stuffing and stitched together. Smoke and exhale strongly. Puff a cigar. Gathered for protruding fullness. Puff sleeves. Forceful exhalation through the nose or mouth. He blew out all the candles with a single puff. Breathe noisily, as when one is exhausted. Praise extravagantly. The critics puffed up this Broadway production. Thick cushion used as a seat. A light inflated pastry or puff shell. Exaggerated praise, as for promotional purposes. Make proud or conceited. The sudden fame puffed her ego. Speak in a blustering or scornful manner. A puffing kind of man. An act of forcible exhalation. Blowing tobacco smoke out into the air. They smoked up the room with their ceaseless puffing. An act of forcible exhalation. Make a mess of, destroy or ruin. Be in motion due to some air or water current. The leaves were blowing in the wind. An impact, as from a collision. A strong current of air. Spend thoughtlessly. Throw away. Provide sexual gratification through oral stimulation. An unfortunate happening that hinders or impedes, something that is thwarting or frustrating. Melt, break, or become otherwise unusable. An unpleasant or disappointing surprise. Show off. Leave. Informal or rude. Let's blow this place. Street names for cocaine. Be inadequate or objectionable. This blows. Forceful exhalation through the nose or mouth. He gave his nose a loud blow. Allow to regain its breath. Blow a horse. A powerful stroke with the fist or a weapon. A blow on the head. Be blowing or storming. Burst suddenly. Cause air to go in, on, or through. Cause to be revealed and jeopardized. The double agent was blown by the other side. Cause to move by means of an air current. Exhale hard. Blow on the soup to cool it down. Free of obstruction by blowing air through. Blow one's nose. Lay eggs. Certain insects are said to blow. Make a sound as if blown. Play or sound a wind instrument. Shape by blowing. Sound by having air expelled through a tube. Spend lavishly or wastefully on. Spout moist air from the blowhole. An act of forcible exhalation. The bodily process of inhalation and exhalation. The process of taking in oxygen from inhaled air and releasing carbon dioxide by exhalation. Passing or able to pass air in and out of the lungs normally, sometimes used in combination. The boy was disappointed to find only skeletons instead of living breathing dinosaurs. The bodily process of inhalation and exhalation. The process of taking in oxygen from inhaled air and releasing carbon dioxide by exhalation. A mechanical system in a building that provides fresh air. She was continually adjusting the ventilation. The bodily process of inhalation and exhalation. the process of taking in oxygen from inhaled air and releasing carbon dioxide by exhalation. The act of supplying fresh air and getting rid of foul air. Free and open discussion of, or debate on, some question of public interest. The bodily process of inhalation and exhalation. The process of taking in oxygen from inhaled air and releasing carbon dioxide by exhalation. The metabolic processes whereby certain organisms obtain energy from organic molecules. Processes that take place in the cells and tissues during which energy is released and carbon dioxide is produced and absorbed by the blood to be transported to the lungs. A single complete act of breathing in and out. 30 respirations per minute.
Become our student and get access to effective and free educational materials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to become a part of our growing YouTube community and to learn English effectively.